How did the 2023 8-seeded Miami Heat make it all the way to the NBA Finals? Out of 78 number 8 seeds to ever play in the NBA playoffs, only 2 of them have ever made it past the second round. The first of such occurrences was in 1999, when the New York Knicks, led by Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston, and Patrick Ewing, made it all the way to the NBA Finals. Their fairy tale story would end there, when they lost to the Duncan and Robinson-led Spurs in 5 games. Since then, only a handful of 8 seeds have done the improbable in knocking off 1 seeds in the first round. In 2007, the Golden State Warriors beat the title favorite Mavericks in 6 games, which was the first time an 8 seed had beaten a 1 seed in a best-of-7 series. In 2011, the Memphis Grizzlies beat the San Antonio Spurs in 6 games, and in 2012, the 76ers beat the 1-seeded Bulls. Fast forward to 2023, and the Miami Heat have proved to have the greatest story of them all. Being the second 8 seed to ever make the NBA Finals, the 2023 Miami Heat have the greatest Cinderella story in NBA playoff history. What's fascinating about the Miami Heat is not only the fact that they were the 8 seed, but they're the most unorthodox team to ever make the finals. The Heat only had 1 All-Star, which was Bam Adebayo. There have been 14 times in NBA history where a team has won a championship with only 1 All-Star, the most recent being Giannis in 2021. So just making the finals with 1 All-Star isn't super unordinary, especially considering that the Heat's finals opponents, the Denver Nuggets, only had 1 All-Star as well. But what makes the Heat's team so peculiar is the fact that they had 7 undrafted players in this year's playoffs. That is certainly unheard of, and the Heat's undrafted players have played the most minutes from undrafted players in the playoffs since 1967. They all had the ability to take over games at times and provide consistent production, which is remarkable, especially at this level of play. In Game 2 of the NBA Finals, 5 undrafted Heat players saw minutes, with 4 of them playing over 15 minutes. The Eastern Conference Finals saw remarkable performances from Caleb Martin, who was undrafted in 2019, yet was in consideration for Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The undrafted players were the main story for this Heat team, as fans had joked that the power of friendship had willed the Heat to the finals. After seeing star-powered teams dominate the league for so long, the Heat were not only one of the few teams to do it without stars, but they did it without drafted players, something we've never seen before in the modern era. The Heat's story is even more incredible considering the fact that they were on the verge of missing the playoffs. Finishing the regular season as the 7th seed and then losing their first play-in game, the Heat were 1 game away from missing the playoffs entirely. In fact, the Heat were the first play-in team to ever win a playoff series, much less make the finals. By losing their first play-in game, the Heat dropped to the 8th seed, putting them against the NBA title favorites, the Milwaukee Bucks. In order to get to the finals, they had to face 2 of the best teams in the East, a task that was heavily favored against them. But going against the odds seemed to be the theme for the fairy tale Heat story. Prior to Game 3 of the NBA Finals, the Heat had trailed by 8+ points entering the 4th quarter 9 times in the 2023 playoffs, and had won 4 of those games. All the other teams in the postseason had combined for a 1-41 record in those situations. With their backs against the wall, performances from various Heat players, including Jimmy Butler, Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, and Duncan Robinson, had propelled them to crucial wins. Through the first 4 games in the finals, they had outscored their opponents by 89 points in the 4th quarter in the playoffs, which is the 3rd largest 4th quarter point differential in NBA playoff history. They also had 7 double-digit comeback wins in the postseason, which ties for most by a team in the last 25 years. The Heat seemed to elevate their game with their backs against the wall, which is a huge reason why they were able to make it so far. The Heat had constantly been ruled out by media and fans, even when they were in the best positions to win. After losing to the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 2 of the first round, the Miami Heat's odds to win the championship were plus 18,000. Their opponent, the Milwaukee Bucks, were plus 280, despite the series being tied 1-1. According to Vegas, the Heat's chances of making the finals, much less winning it, were next to none. After all, the Heat were a play-in team and did not have near the talent as the Bucks did on paper. However, the the Heat not only managed to beat the championship favorites, but they did so in only 5 games. Miami was led by some unbelievable playoff performances from Jimmy Butler, who scored 56 points in Game 4 to put the Heat up 3-1. In the Eastern Conference Finals against the 2-seeded Celtics, the Miami Heat opened up the series with only a 3% chance to make the finals, according to ESPN Analytics. After going up 2-0, with both wins being on the road, they still only had a 35% chance to win the series. In fact, the Heat were only favored to win 1 game the entire series, despite being up 3-0 at one point. Even in that one game, the Heat were only 1.5 point favorites, meaning Vegas had no hope in the Heat the entire series. The Celtics series was a true test for the Heat, who found themselves almost blowing a 3-0 lead, as they were only one of 4 teams in NBA history to allow a series to go to 7 games after going up 3-0. But even when it all seemed to be crashing down, the Heat, in particular Jimmy Butler, was still confident. After the Game 5 loss, Butler stated this:
"We're always going to stay positive, knowing that we can and we will win this series."
The Heat reportedly bought plane tickets to Denver ahead of their Game 7 matchup against the Celtics, as they were that confident in their ability to beat Boston, despite losing 3 straight. But their confidence dates back to the 2022 season. In 2022, the Miami Heat lost to the Boston Celtics in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. After that loss, Butler stated this:
"We had enough. Next year, we will have enough, and we're going to be right back in the same situation, and we're going to get it done."
He predicted it perfectly, as the Heat took the Celtics to 7 games in the 2023 Eastern Conference Finals and ultimately got the win. Even though the Heat lost to the Nuggets in the finals, their story would still go down as the greatest underdog story from a team in NBA playoff history. From being a play-in team with half of their team being undrafted to ending up in the NBA Finals, no team has ever done what the Miami Heat have done. It's unlikely we'll see an 8 seed make the NBA Finals again in the near future, but you never know, as the NBA is becoming more and more unpredictable. Regardless, I thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take it easy.